The Survivor specialists, Phil and Will, are back, and today we continue our Survivor 50 coverage, and we're going to be talking about the winner chances for all 24 players who will be competing on Survivor 50. We've already done a cast reaction. We did a snubs video Blake and I did the other night, and now here we are with winner chances. 3 podcasts in a week. It's pretty crazy that the cast only came out a week ago. It's kind of, I feel like we've known it or felt like we've known it for longer. It's pretty wild that it's only been 7 days of knowing this.
Yeah, I'd probably put it at like 10, 11, maybe 12 days because there was a pretty confident leak like 3 or 4 days before it is officially now announced. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I've been sitting with it. How do I feel better about it? I wish I could say that. I don't know if I can though. Like, I don't know. Like, I know when I did the reaction, I was like, these spots are coveted. And I feel like we kind of wasting some spots. Nonetheless, we're going to be positive. We'll be excited. We'll try to be. I mean, I'm going to try maybe a little bit harder because the topic of that podcast a week ago was to have our reactions. That's not the topic of this. We don't need to hear our thoughts on what we think about the cast or how many 10s there are on this cast or 9s. Very few. If you listen to our podcast,
Will even saying the word 10 on this podcast is not somewhere I thought we'd go because
there are no 10s to me on this cast. Maybe someone has a 10 for winning chances though, and we get a 10 that way. Although I think that would probably don't want to give somebody a 10 on winning chances, so maybe not.
I mean, we're going to sit here and we're going to dive in. You know how I look at this, Will? This is kind of like March Madness, where we all have the arguments over should that team have been in, should that team not have, should that team have been a 1 seed or a 2 seed. But once they're in, you just have to have the discussion about, all right, now who's going to win the tournament? Who can actually pull the upsets? Who can actually make it happen? And I think that what's interesting about the Survivor 50 cast is it really is so reminiscent of March Madness in my mind. Of you have some Cinderellas, but I feel like there's a lot of 11 seeds that maybe could make the final 4 or a deep run, but there's no way they're winning. You know, like you can always have that team where you're like, maybe they go to the end, but they're not going to actually pull out the win. And that's how I feel about a lot of people on this season. I think there's a lot of players who can shock a lot of audiences here. But at the end of the day, like to me, there's probably 4 or 5 really big time favorites. And I'm curious if we're going to agree on this. We're going to try to put them into like 4 tier groups as we go through. We'll see how that goes. But I am curious, like, is that kind of how you feel about it too? Like you see people that maybe can make final 3, but run into maybe the same problems they had on their first season?
Honestly, Phil, I have not thought much about this cast since last week. So nice. You are going to, I have not been like, I don't have a grid. I don't have data on my winner chances. It's going to be more shooting from the hip here. Let's talk through each player, see where they land. I do like the March Madness analogy, although I think it only goes so far. Like I think, you know, you did a whole podcast on snubs. That's like very March Madness. You know, we have our playing field, you know, that's very March Madness. There's just way more like subjectivity to Survivor than there is a sport like basketball. So like, you don't really, I don't know if there's necessarily like 1 seeds and 16 seeds on this cast. I think everyone who's played obviously has played before and they can learn from their mistakes. We have people from all eras, sort of. We're kind of missing. What are we missing? We're missing
19 through 31.
1931. There was a comment on our cast reaction that says that these were evenly spread across eras, and I had to reply. I'm like, I just don't agree, because if you're missing that chunk, and that's a big chunk.
Yeah.
So
and not
it's hardly like to go into like seeds and stuff, but just the overall analogy I like, but I think we end it there.
Yeah, and I think if you go and listen to the snubs, Blake and I kind of handled our and we didn't even do this purposefully. Blake just decided to go this route. We handled our pre-40 a little bit differently, where I kind of went with the Sean Rectors, the Jerrys, you know, like the Rob Sesterninos, the Dom Abates. That's what I went with. And Blake went with more of, we literally skipped an entire era of Survivor. Here's people that we could have put with your Abby Marias. He brought up Pete Yurkowski, which was really funny. But like,
yeah, I mean, we were, I mean, yeah, Cagion not having any.
there
any
were
representation.
people during that era, and to have that whole era just be completely overshadowed seems kind of crazy, especially when you do have a Philippines, a Cagayan, Blood versus Water had some really good newbies with Sierra, Hayden, Brad Culpepper. Like one of them only played once, but the other two made, big impacts on the game. So I look, we're talking about these 24. We don't know anything about Rizzo. We don't know anything about Savannah. We're still going to talk about him here though, and see none of the players know anything about them either though. So does that give them an advantage or a disadvantage? Can they win, or are they going to be targets early? So I am going to try to talk about all 24 people here. And Will, where should we start? How do you want to start this? You want to start at the beginning?
Yeah, do you want to go just from season 1 until we go through all the seasons up until season 49, I guess, which I don't know.
Or should we start with 49 because it's like we don't even know who those people are?
I don't think we even need to hit on that. That's just, I don't know anything about those players. We haven't seen their season. I don't think we want to waste time. We have 22 other players to talk about. We don't want to be on here for 3 hours. So I think we skip those players.
Here's one thing that I'll ask though, because we've seen this 2 other times where it's been literally back to back where they didn't finish out a season nobody saw Russell do a single thing in Samoa before he went and played Heroes versus Villains. So they don't know him at all when that takes place. They saw about half the season with James and Amanda, and they didn't see anything with Michaela and Zeke. So we have very different finishes
with all
of those seasons. Malcolm also, I think they didn't see any of his season, I don't think they saw any of his.
What about Rupert?
Rupert, they saw the whole thing. Because that was back when they used to film like over 6 months, or maybe they got up like deep enough. But I'm pretty sure Rupert, they saw either the whole season or almost the whole season. James and Amanda, they got up to right before James got booted. So they didn't see the double idol play or the double idol elimination. So I just let's just start with that. We've seen people go all over the place, right? We've seen Michaela and Zeke really not make too much of a gameplay impact, never really feel like threats to win. Rupert goes all the way to 4th place in All-Stars. Russell gets to the final 3 in Heroes versus Villains. Where do you think that, we don't know these people at all. So
yeah, it's like, I think it's very player dependent, and it's also very cast dependent on how the other people on 50 want to treat these players that they don't know. You could have some players say, you know what, we don't know who they are, let's get rid of them right away. You could have some people say, no one knows who these people are. I have bigger threats that I know about. I know how this person plays, and that person scares me. So I'm going to make those people that I know a priority. That's why it's so hard for me to I don't know. It's really it could go either way. I know that's like the lamest answer for a podcast. And that's why I'm like, we don't know anything about these 2 players. And I'd rather spend time on the other 22. What do you think, Phil? Do you think there's going to be a mentality let's get them out because we don't know them? Or it's almost like, hey, because I don't know who you are, I have nothing to fear from you. I don't know your game. So everyone here, maybe not everyone, but there's enough players in this cast that pose a big threat in general. These are players being brought back for a reason, whether that threat is in challenges like Jonathan, whether that threat is strategic like Genevieve, whether that threat might be eating up airtime that they want, like Coach. There's different reasons to be threatened by the players that you know, and because we haven't seen these players, it's really hard, Phil.
So if you were gonna, we said before we went on, we said we were just gonna do favorites, contenders, long shots, no shot. Are you going to just classify both of them as long shots because it's we literally have no idea and we've never seen somebody win like this?
I honestly don't want to classify them. I want to leave them out of our classification. I don't know them. Could put them anywhere. They get their own tier, unknown, TBD. We can revisit this once we've seen season 49.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
You really want me to dive into these players? I don't know what I can give you, Phil.
No, I'm just look.
You want from me?
All I'm asking is, what do you think? And I think you answered it. We don't know because we've seen this go all over the place. So let's go to the beginning and let's go to Jenna Lewis, who I said during the cast reaction that I think is a dark horse on this season. But then I started to think, is she that Loyola Chicago 11 seed that can get to the Final Four but cannot win the season? And so I'm curious what you think about Jenna Lewis. 42 seasons between the last time she played and this time. She has never played with an immunity idol or an advantage aside from a twist or a tribe swap. And the only tribe swap that happened on her season was actually an absorption because her Saboga tribe lost. So what are we thinking with Jenna Lewis?
You probably know better than me how in tune Jenna is with the community and following the show. Can you give me any sort of like input on that front?
I know that she was on Fair Play's podcast a couple times. I know that she said whenever Sheehan talked, she wanted to put a gun in her mouth. I remember that clip. I know that that was circling the internet. I don't know if she's actually watching all that closely, but I know that she's been on Fair Play's podcast a couple times. I think around 40 during COVID that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely not going to classify her in like a no shot to win. I think if Jenna is sitting at final 3, she has an incredible argument alone in the story of, hey, I played on the first season. We're at the 50th. What better way to celebrate Survivor and bring it full circle? I think that's a story absolutely worth telling, and that could get votes alone. I also think Jenna is somebody who is going to play hard, or at least attempt to. Mm-hmm. And if she's up to snuff on like all her Survivor new era advantages and trinkets and knowledge is power, safety without power, losing votes, journeys, like if she can understand and wrap her head around that, which I think is not asking a lot for someone to go on season 50. I think anyone going on season 50 or who has been in the casting process, who was on an older season, either should have been watching Survivor the whole time, or if they've been in the casting process, like, hey, I better like study up on what this game is currently. And so assuming that, I would put Jenna probably as a contender. I wouldn't put her as like a favorite. I wouldn't even really put her as a long shot because it's been so long since she's played. A number of the players out there, especially the new era players, might not be threatened by her. They might say you played in a different time or strategy was not favored. We've just seen so many of these players play so recently that are just going to have bigger threat levels because of the recency bias, because they've just been seen. So I have Jenna as a contender.
Yeah, I feel like she's a serious dark horse to win this thing, and maybe that would classify as a long shot. But
long shot or dark horse? What are you going with?
I think dark horse can fit into contender though, right? Like a dark horse is a player who they have a legitimate chance to win this thing. Maybe people just aren't talking about them. Whereas a long shot, I'm looking more at maybe somebody who finished 3rd place on their first season and lost at Final Tribal Council, 0 vote finalist, but I think could win. That's more of a long shot in my opinion. So for me, I look at Jenna. I also think she's a contender. She can't be one of the favorites because she hasn't played with so much of the stuff that is impactful to the game of Survivor now. So she can't be a favorite. But I do think what a lot of people aren't going to understand is really how strong her game was in Survivor All-Stars and how she dictated a large portion of that game. She was the one who came out and said the winners shouldn't be able to play. And she voted all the winners out. She was hugely impactful in all that. She gets 3rd place on that season. If she sits at the end, she beats Rob or Amber because everybody hated both of them so much. So there are people that she could get to the end with. And normally I'd sit here and I'd say a 47-year-old woman on Survivor, and we're probably going to get 2 boots an episode for the whole entire pre-merge. She's in trouble. But this cast skews so old. And I do think that she played a newer era, not talking like 40 plus. I'm talking like she played more of a season 15, 16, 17, 18 type game in season 8. Season 1, nobody knew what was going on, and she just got voted out. Season 1, I'm not even going to count that. But what she did when she came back in All-Stars, I think will be indicative of how she plays this. If she's on a disaster tribe, she's not going to make it very far. But I think if she gets in the right spot, she can absolutely win this. So I agree. I think she's a contender.
Yeah, contender. I'm good with it.
Cool. Let's throw that up here and then we'll move on. Can you read that, Will? I'm having a hard time making that out.
All-Stars was a bad season. That's a bad take. I just
want to make sure you can read that. I just want to make sure.
Bad take. Real Survivor fans know All-Stars was legit.
I have the banner scrolling across. So patreon.com/the specialists. You're not gonna be able to see that the rest of the time now because I want people to be able to track what we're actually doing.
So now we have to say that every like 10 seconds. Just Patreon
every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like the video.
We should get that graphic updated so the link goes above the banner. Let's make a note of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a
Mhm.
very good. Austin's getting a call right after this. All right, let's go to the next person, which is Colby Donaldson. So Colby, season 2. We haven't seen him since Heroes versus Villains. Everybody thinks Heroes versus Villains Colby
Can you read
is,
that
or
one
no, I
for me,
can't read that.
Phil?
I
Can you
can't.
read it?
I have something going on. No, my brain's not
Yeah,
letting
you don't have
me.
your glasses on. That's
Fender
from
says
Fender.
All
All
Stars
Stars,
heavy
heavy,
over.
overhated. That's what Fender says. So I'm with Fender there. All right.
But so we have Colby. And speaking of overhated, I think that his game in Heroes versus Villains is severely overhated. I'm rewatching that season right now for the Patreon. And I'm up to the point where JT just went home. Like, I'm deep enough in. Colby doesn't roll over and die as much as people make it seem. That's just the whole thing going on when he decides that he doesn't want to go politic if he has no chance with James. We've seen him lose at a final tribal council. He's one of many on this season who has made it to final tribal and has lost. We've seen him get booted pre-merge, and we've seen him make a jury. Where do you think Colby fits in the whole scheme of this? Is he too legendary, even though his last time out kind of stunk in a lot of people's minds?
Yeah, but when you think of Colby, your first thought is like not thinking about Heroes versus Villains, Colby, right? Like, I still think when you think of Colby, you think of the Australian Outback. That's where you go to. You go to the Challenge Beast. You go to the person who finished second place. You go to the person that probably should have won the season if they had made the right choice and bringing Keith over Tina. At least that's where my brain goes. So I don't think you're thinking about All-Stars Colby, really. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think because of the legendary status, it will be difficult for Colby because it's not his 2 other seasons after Australian Outback. It's not like fresh in people's minds either. It's not like Tony in Game Changers, where it's like Tony wins, he comes back, flames out in Game Changers, and then like 6 seasons later, he's back out there, and people are like maybe not as afraid of Tony because they've seen him get booted pre-merge. Like, enough time has passed, and his performance on Australian Outback is that great and that legendary that has superseded any sort of recency.
Mm-hmm. I still think Colby's got a shot, though, mainly because of the shakeout of even some of the new era people. Colby came into Heroes Villains, and he's literally like on day 1, he's talking to Candace. Do you even know who these people are? Like, I literally don't know who these people are. And I think, again, Colby's going to kind of come in with the same mentality of I'm going to let the game play the way the game needs to play when I'm on the island. I'm not going to pregame. I'm not going to do all that stuff. He has Cirie and Stephanie as connections. Did my internet just go? Okay, so he has Cirie and Stephanie as connections for sure, right? He was on the same season as Jenna, but they're never on the same tribe, so that doesn't really matter. But I also think that people like Joe, Jonathan, Ozzy, like, I think they're going to get along with him. And I think people forget that Colby and Stephanie actually were aligned in Heroes versus Villains, which is why ultimately Colby seems like he's just dead in the water. And a lot of that had to do with the fact of James and Amanda were always going to work together. JT was more of a newer era guy. Tom and Stephanie are over here playing old school Survivor. Like, there was a lot of dynamics that were going on with people who've played together. Me and Blake broke this down at one point. I think, Will, you would agree. They're probably going to try to do their best to keep people who have played together away from each other in the pre-merge portion. No?
I imagine. And have you gotten this update? Or I don't know if this is accurate, but I hear it's 3 tribes.
It's definitely 3 tribes.
Okay.
It's definitely 3 tribes. Come on. It's 3 tribes of 8. I mean, there's the photo that's circling right
The
now.
photo, yeah, that was, I don't know how that, I mean, not that that's shocking because we haven't had 2 tribes since Winners at War. So it's not the biggest surprise, but just wanted to, I mean, I think they'll spread out the place. For me, the old school people have a tougher time in this, and Tegwith made a very good point on our reaction podcast saying, like, we're only classifying this as 2 eras. One era is the past 9 seasons, and one is the first 40 seasons. So, like, Jenna Lewis and Christian Hubicki are considered the same era.
Yeah.
And that's season 1 and season 37. So there's a tighter concentration of new era over a shorter period of time, which makes me feel that they are closer. They go to the same events. They hang out together. There's more of an online community established since the new era has existed. And not to say it didn't exist in 37, but it certainly didn't exist in season 1. And it didn't exist in season 2 either. So it's like there's going to be fewer opportunities for the old school players to like band together as old school players because yes, they are both preseason 40, but it doesn't mean their seasons were similar or that they were hanging out together. So I find that I think anyone old school, especially the really old school, do have an uphill battle ahead of them due to that reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on that a little bit. I think the problem is it's Ozzy, Cirie, Stephanie, Colby, and Jenna. Those are really the only ones. Like Coach played in 23, and he's so weird anyway that it's
No, I know. We're talking what is that 5 players, and we know they're gonna spread those 5 players out. They're not gonna put all those 5 players on the same drive. So
Colby won't be with Stephanie or Cirie because they were already on a starting tribe together. I think
exactly. So if you spread out those 3 heroes, then you're making it even more difficult because the new era, again, because there's 12 new era players, you're likely going to have to do 4-4-4 on the new era. I imagine that's what they're going to do. And then 4-4-4 old school in giant quotations. And so if you have someone that's played more recently, even like Chrissy, who has been heavily involved in the community, goes to events and things like that, maybe she's closer with the new era people, and then you get someone like an Ozzy or a Colby or a Jenna that kind of just don't have an alliance early. That's what I really
literally doesn't go to anything. Like Ozzy was at the Ron Clark event. Colby is MIA in the community.
Yeah, so I would put Colby as a long shot. I think if he gets to the end, he obviously has a great story, Survivor legend, but that legendary status is going to do more to hurt him than to help him. And with the way the cast is set up, I don't see good things from Colby. I mean, I don't want to put him at no shot because I do think it's been a while and maybe not everyone's familiar with his game, but I don't feel that great about Colby, to be honest.
If I were to be ranking, like in terms of what we're doing, I would say Colby, though, even if we're putting him at long shot, he's really close to the contender stage in my mind. And my reason for that is, again, I think there's some newer era people who are similar to Colby that can work with him and that will help him. I also think what you said, if he makes a final 3, Colby's going to have a really good argument no matter what kind of game he plays, no matter who he's sitting next to. Like if he gets to the end, he has a really good argument against anybody of like, I haven't played in so long and I still showed up and you all thought I was washed and now I'm sitting here at final 3. I think he really does have a good shot there. But
does he have a top shot?
He just, yeah, good. There you go. Well, should we make a new category for Colby that just says top shot?
Maybe we call favorites the top shots.
The top shots. I don't know. I think Colby's got a better chance than a lot of people are saying, but I also understand why a lot of people want to write him off right off the bat. And I will say this. If it's not split 4 people from 41 to 49 on each tribe and 4 people from pre-40 on each tribe, I have no idea why they casted this as 12 and 12. Like it has to be 4-4-4-4-4-4. Otherwise, why did they do 12 and 12? Like that feels like why they did it, to give the pre-40 people a shot so they don't get wiped out like we've seen.
Or to give the new era people a shot. Like if they were we thought they were going to do this cast and maybe we get 20 people and 3 or 4 are going to be new era. Mm-hmm. And they clearly that shifted somewhere and they probably arrived, hey, we got to go halfsies on this. Like it's the only thing that makes sense, even though I'm not sure that is true, but it sounds good on paper.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to Stephanie. So last time we saw Stephanie was also Heroes versus Villains, and she finished 19th. So totally different experience than Colby. We've seen her also lose at a final tribal, right? So now we have 2 people who have lost at a final tribal that we're talking about in our first 3. And in Palau, she's obviously the last person remaining from her original starting tribe, iconic from Oolong. Stephanie's played a lot of stuff with Cirie, always been bested by Cirie, and a lot of people are talking about that and like, what is that going to happen here? I don't think Stephanie and Cirie are ever going to see each other except for across the mat on a challenge. I don't think they both make the merge, so I don't think it's going to matter. But those are her connections, right? She has Cirie, like Colby, Cirie and Colby. That's what she has. What do you think about Stephanie, considering we saw the worst version of her the last time she played, but she's been a little bit more active because she's on Traders, she's on Snake in the Grass, she's done some things. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Really tough. Another feels like she has an uphill battle, but I guess because she's been around on some other shows of late, that probably helps her. Mm-hmm. So I'm leaning towards putting her as a contender, but like the bottom of the contender tier is where I would put Stephanie. Just
You think she has a
because
better shot than Colby?
I do think she has a better shot than Colby. I think mostly due to, like I said, when you think of Colby, you still think of legendary Colby from Australian Outback. I think Stephanie has done enough in her 2 other appearances on Survivor to kind of diminish her initial legendary status. Just because when you get to the end and lose, I know Colby lost, but Stephanie lost in like a pretty bad
6-1.
Yeah, 6-1 to someone who was not like love Danny. And I think she probably played a really good game, and it's tough to rank winners. But like when we think of dominant winners of Survivor, Danny's name rarely comes up. She was kind of an underdog who won some immunities at the end and was just really friendly and had a great social game. Not hating on that whatsoever, but to lose 6-1 to that, it's almost like her like allure kind of went down, I think. Like I don't think we think of her in the same way that we used to. And then she comes back on Heroes vs. Villains and gets booted early. And so it's like she hasn't done enough to kind of uphold her reputation. And I think that helps her here. I really do.
I think that helps her be a long shot, but I have a really hard time seeing Stephanie ever convincing a jury. I really do. Her jury performance in Guatemala is so bad. And I think we see in all 3 seasons, even in Palau, where she's a hero, we see Stephanie's temper come out big time. Like we see that over and over again. And so I do think that Stephanie has a chance to go deep, but to put all the pieces together, if we're saying, can she win the game? She has to get through the pre-merge. She has to then get into this post-merge and figure out the game of Survivor and play a strategic game. We saw her in Palau not have, like, she couldn't do anything because Karor was Karor. Then she comes out in Guatemala. She has the numbers, and that's the end of the game, right? So she's able to walk to the end. She only gets 2 votes the whole season. And then she comes out in Heroes Villains, doesn't do anything. I'm worried about her post-merge. And I really think that if she sits at final 3, she still has such an uphill battle. I don't know. I feel like she's more of a long shot than a contender, honestly.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Has anyone lost Final Tribal Council, then come back to play a future season and then win? I don't think it's ever happened.
Not lose, then come back to win.
Boston Rob. That's
Boston Rob and All Stars. Yeah. Duh.
Yeah, that's it.
Duh.
But
because Parvati obviously wins then loses, but that's different.
Michelle wins then loses.
Yeah.
Natalie wins then loses.
Yeah.
But there's like, Amanda loses and loses.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra wins and wins. Tony wins and wins. I mean, there's not a lot of players who have been to multiple Final Tribal Councils. I wonder if Stephanie, because that must be a big learning experience to face a jury, state your case in a game that you think you probably should win, and then lose 6-1. Does that help you play a different game, or at least articulate your case better? I think for Stephanie in Guatemala, it's not that her final tribal was so bad. I think that her game was pretty bad. So she didn't have enough behind her in the game she played to even have a good tribal council. Because if you enter final tribal council, you can talk your ear off and debate. You can go with Shaheen's debate club class or whatever he's doing. Take all those classes, be the best debater. If you don't have the game to back it up, then there's not much you can do. And I think Stephanie just didn't have the game to back it up. And that, to me, is something you can learn from. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily a inherent trait that she's bad at juries or bad at final tribal council.
I also think with her having played and then coming back and playing with people who hadn't, she knew how to not take things personally. And she kind of assumed everybody else would take it that way. But the newbies are pissed because their hero is Stephanie, and now their hero is sending them to the jury. And she was playing it almost as if she was playing a full all-star season. And in Heroes Villains, her and Tom had no chance. Tom, when we get to that for Patreon, I can't wait to talk about him as the underrated castaway from that season, because Tom has no shot walking in there and actually plays a phenomenal game for 5 episodes. Stephanie does what she can, but she's just not in the know with those people. So where do you want to put her? You want to put her as a contender?
I want to go contender, I think, right? Or you really think long shot?
I think it's long shot. I really do. I think she's a long shot. I could see she's a Final Four, right? Like I can see her getting deep, but I have a really hard time seeing her actually sitting there getting the $1 million check at the end or whatever the price is now.
Mm-hmm. I could go either way, Phil.
All right, let's go long shot because I have a hard time.
I see long shot. I mean, again, like I'm with you that like my main thing, and I know we're doing this in order, which is going to sound like a broken record, but like the deck is kind of stacked against our old school friends, especially from earlier seasons.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Cirie. So we haven't seen Cirie since Game Changers. Cirie's never been voted out by a majority. She's going to be playing AU versus the world this season. Blah 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 blah. Cirie is we know everything there is to know about Cirie. Cirie. Everything you need to know about Cirie, which a podcast I'm doing with Blake, comes out tomorrow at 8 p.m. It was pre-recorded, so it's dropping at 8 p.m. as a premiere. That's for the series of everything you need to know about that Will's going to do 7 of. Blake's doing 7. Tegwith is doing 8. The first one is tomorrow at 8 p.m., and it's Cirie. So you get to hear all about Cirie tomorrow. What winner chances do you give Cirie, considering she is, if you eliminate her Heroes versus Villains game where she is idled out by Tom, she finished 4th, 3rd, and 6th. And she's never been voted out by a majority. What's your chances?
Cirie. It's like you want to say she's got like no shot, but like I don't know. She always finds a way, it seems like Game Changers, she could have won, and we went into Game Changers being like, why is Cirie on this season? There's no way she's gonna last. And then like the Tony of it all in season 40, I know that was a cast of all winners and that everyone was a threat, but he makes you rethink some of your like, there's no shot. You have no chance to win. You're too big of a threat. I mean, the fact that Tony won Winners at War is still just insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how he pulled that off with his threat level. Clearly his performance in Game Changers helped maybe, but like also being on a cast of all winners helps. Can't state that enough, but still crazy.
Yeah.
And so I don't really want to rule Cirie out here. I don't.
Here's my biggest concern for Cirie, and Blake and I get into this on the episode tomorrow. In Game Changers, she was the last person to go to a tribal council. She went through the whole pre-merge without going to tribal. We're going to get 3 tribes here. We're going to get double boots every episode because they're not making a 28-episode season. So this is going to be double boots. The 2 losing tribes are going to go to tribal every single week. Can Cirie, who's not very good at challenges, has been established throughout all of Survivor history, can she survive 3 or potentially 4 pre-merge tribal councils? That's my concern for her. Because if she gets to the merge, then it comes down to, will anybody actually let her get to the end? She's actually done fire. She lost fire, all that. But like, can she survive what is going to be the most vicious pre-merge in the history of the show? I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't know. We have so many new players, new era players on this cast. Like, and I understand challenges are important, but they almost, if the format of this is going to be 3 tribes of 8, there's only 1 winner for the challenge, and the 2 tribes are going. You're more likely than not going to tribal council anyway. So like, typical new era, it's like, okay, you just have to finish top 2. Now that you know, like you can finish 2nd place here or like be right behind, that means nothing. It's almost the challenges mean less. You almost have to plan as if you're going regardless. Like we're going every cycle, we have to vote someone off. And if you're playing with that mentality, then challenges just, I don't know. I don't think there's enough players out there that are basing who they're voting off on season 50 on challenge performance. I especially when it's 2 out of 3 going. I really don't think that's the case. I mean, we've seen it in the new era enough where it's like challenge performance doesn't get brought up all that much. I mean, it still comes up, especially when they need to do an A/B. It's like, okay, well, this person I trust, but this person's better than challenges, and we get like some boring pre-merge boot. We hear about it. But I think on a season like this with so many threats and so many relationships, that has to be paramount there in terms of like in versus challenge performance. I just don't think that's going to be that big of an issue. Now, that does mean she will be going to tribal council more frequently. So it's not that I'm saying she's going to just get away with this. She still has chances to get voted out, and that's always bad. But I don't necessarily, when they vote out Cirie, it's not going to be like, well, she can't cross the balance beam. and I don't want to end up at tribal council again. 2/3 chance if we just do it randomly, you're going to be at tribal council anyway. So I think if Cirie's able to establish some relationships early, if she's on a good starting tribe, like she could go to 5 tribal councils in a row and be in the majority and run it. Like we've seen Cirie, like she's a master at this game. There's a reason she's so good. And yes, people are aware of her and they know that she's a big threat, but that doesn't stop the greats. That's the sports reference. It's like, oh, you're gonna double team the LeBron or Steph Curry. Okay. You know why they're superstars? You know why they've won 4 championships each? It's because they know how to beat double teams. So I don't know. I would put Cirie as long shot. I don't want to give her no shot.
I agree with you. She can't be a contender because there's just too much that has to go right for her to win this season. But I agree with you that I think she belongs in the long shot category. Again, if Cirie sits at Final 3, I made this argument for Colby. If Cirie sits at Final 3, she probably wins the season. But she's got to get to Final 3, and that's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about chances and everything, and then we ask, well, if they get to Final 3, I don't know if there's that many people in this cast that if they get to Final 3, I'm going, they still have no shot at winning. Like that, and we'll go through the cast and we'll find out how we feel. But if you get brought back, I don't know. I think you've got to be able to make some argument. And I know we have a lot of Final Tribal Council losers in this cast, but it's not like I'm writing these people off. I don't think there's no one that's immediately coming to mind as like that person has no chance, even if they get there.
Yeah.
So I'm not really using that as a barometer of where I'm putting them in the tier.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's jump over to another Final Tribal Council loser, our third one in the first 5 people we're talking about, and that is Ozzy. So last time we saw Ozzy play with South Pacific, he almost pulls it out. Obviously better known for his Cook Islands game where he finishes second. And then we see him in Fans versus Favorites get blindsided because of Cirie. What's Ozzy's chances look like to you? Because I have a very clear take on Ozzy, and I want to know what you think.
I think Ozzy might be our first no shot here.
I totally agree with you. I think he is so done. He has no chance.
I mean, I don't even really remember. Game Changers is the season I've honestly seen the least. I've never rewatched it. When I was watching it, I was actually out on location in Fiji, and we were watching on a big projector. It's loud, people are talking and drinking, and Game Changers is a big kind of black hole in my Survivor knowledge. I forget what happens, but I remember him not. I don't know. He lasted until what? Right at the merge or right before the merge? Somewhere in the middle of the game, I feel like.
Yeah, he finishes, I think he's the second merge boot after Haley. And this is the thing with Ozzy, and this is why I'm not excited to watch him play again. He makes it 9 episodes into that season. And he has the 3rd fewest confessionals on the season behind only Sierra and Caleb, and both of them were pre-merge. He has 8 confessionals. I don't know what Ozzy has to give because he is so heavily, I'm just going to go fish. I'm just going to do challenges. I'm just going to do that. Maybe you keep him around early because you want to keep him around for the challenges. He is 43 now. We haven't seen him in a little while. I think I said at the beginning of this last time we saw him in South Pacific. We saw him in Game Changers. And so when you look at Ozzy, I just don't see ever how he gets through 21 vote outs. I never see it because Ozzy doesn't play a strategic game at all. And that's what it is now. There's a lot of advantage. You can't just win immunity anymore.
Yeah. This is actually, I like how we get to this, but it's I think Ozzy could have won South Pacific. He obviously was very close to winning Cook Islands. I don't think New Era Survivor fits Ozzy's gameplay style, and him winning at Final 3, who is he sitting next to where he's able to win the jury vote? I don't know.
Yeah.
He might be the first one where I'm even if he gets there, what's he going to say? He won a bunch of challenges and he kept people fed.
I mean, Daryl Seymour here says Ozzy said he would be more strategic for 50 in an RHAP interview when Winners was airing. I mean, he can say that, but being more strategic than how he's played previously means that he's finally being strategic. His most strategic move was throwing a challenge to boot Billy Garcia in Cook Island. Since then, he has not made actually his strategic move was using Redemption Island in South Pacific. That was brilliant. But at the same time, that's not going to be on this season. There's not enough time. So I don't know. I think he's got nothing.
Yeah, I would put him at he's our first no shot. I feel good about it.
Yeah. All right, we jump over then to his South Pacific counterpart, Coach. Tocantins, heroes, villains. We watch him in South Pacific, another Final Tribal Council loser. Okay, so now we're at 4 Final Tribal Council losers. So far, we've only talked about second place finishers. We're going to have a couple third places coming up too. Do you give Coach any shot, or do you think like we saw him change his style and he sits at the end and he gets blown out against somebody that a lot of people didn't know her game? Do you give him any chance here or no?
I absolutely give Coach a chance. I think Coach might be my winner pick.
No way. Really? No way.
I think so. I think Coach, like, he's gone through it on Survivor, and I think you can learn from that. Like, I do you think Coach is just going to be like Tocantins' coach back on season 50? Like, I don't. Like, I think he's probably a super mature dude at this point and is going to take the game very seriously, and people aren't going to take him seriously. And that's the biggest weapon right there, where people are like, oh, well, Coach isn't going to win. Coach would never beat me in a Final 3. Coach is just a funny legend. He's here, not to, totally put him in a category or bucket, but like, we lost out on Carolyn, unfortunately, which is devastating and stupid. And I never will understand why she wasn't brought back. It's just, we should have had her on the season. But like, who is fulfilling the role of like the goofball kooky character this season? It's Coach. But who have we seen actually have some strategic chops and who we know loves the game and who would love nothing more than to actually win? I think it's Coach.
Coach is predictable too, right? Like Coach is, for as wild and zany as he is, as a Survivor player, he's very predictable. He's honor and integrity and all of that. He goes on these.
I don't think he comes out with that mantra in season 50. I think he's going to be like, let's play the game. The game's changed. I was, here on 18, tried to do honesty, loyalty, integrity. We saw that in season 48. But Coach is someone who, if you were going out to play season 50, Phil, let's say you're on 49 and you're the Riz guy. Like, let's just say you might be. We don't know who the Riz God is. I guess I
actually am the Riz God.
It could be Phil. And you go out there, you see everyone, you see 23 other players, strategic threats, challenge threats, and then you see the guy who's goofy, who makes good TV, who has good confessionals, who's delusional, who the show embraces the delusion of that person. That's not someone you want to vote out right away. That's not someone who scares you. And I think for that reason, I put Coach as maybe not a favorite, but I would certainly put him in the contender category, and he very might well be my winner pick.
I won't put him as a favorite, but you've convinced me on contender. I was going to put him as a long shot because I do think, like people were saying, he played a good game in South Pacific. He did, and he still lost because he didn't know how to pitch it, right? But I agree with you. Maybe he's learned some things. He's 53 now, so he's a lot older than the last time he played. But the thing with Coach is you're so right that no one's going to take him seriously. So why are you going to vote him out? Like, why would you waste a vote on Coach in the pre-merge? And he's pretty good at challenges, right? He's older, but he dominated Colby in Heroes versus Villains. He was pretty good at challenges and Tocantins.
He's a coach.
Yeah, I mean, he is a coach. So
sports coach.
You know what? Let's put Coach into the content. I for sure thought that he was going to go in long shot again, but you've convinced me because I do think that if people don't take Coach seriously when he steps out there on the island, that means they're not going to vote him out. And if he can get to the end, he can say, none of you took me seriously. And that worked. But he's got to change his pitch because his final tribal in South Pacific is horrible. It's horrible.
Which I think he can learn from. And I think one of my biggest disappointments with the cast, not that we got 12 new era players, but a lot of the people cast in the old school era, the pre-40 era, they kind of feel like new era players in a way. Some of them, like Aubrey, gives me new era vibes. Christian gives me new era vibes. I think even Chrissy, you could argue, gives you new era vibes. And I think those players, you're not going to think about Coach. You're going to be worried more about those threats than you are about Coach. Yeah. That helps them.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump over to Aubrey then, because you just brought her up. So another losing finalist. It's like crazy. When I started thinking about how many losing finalists are on this season, especially from the...
Is it a whole tribe? Are there 8 of them?
I mean, could that be a whole cast? Could
that
that be one tribe? You have Colby, Stephanie, Ozzy, Coach, Aubrey, Chrissy, Mike White, Angelina.
Is that 8? That's 8.
That's 8. And then, but you have more, because then you also have, you have
Joe.
Charlie and Joe. Yeah. So there are more than that, but still, that's a lot. Like 10 people have lost at Final Tribal Council on this season.
Huh.
Something to keep an eye on.
Man, if there were 8, that would have been a real fun. I mean, that would have been figured out already by somebody.
Yeah, especially if it was 4 men and 4 women. Yeah. All right, so we're talking Aubrey. We put out a TikTok earlier today, Instagram, whatever, where in the cast assessment, I had asked Blake and Tegwith, I said, let's do rapid fire. Can these people win? And the most controversial one I have found over on Instagram and TikTok right now is that we said Aubrey couldn't win. Ron Clark chimed in and said Aubrey absolutely can win. Ron Clark went to the tribal council with Aubrey. I guess Aubrey was the first boot from her tribe at Edge of Extinction, right? I think she's the first one to get booted.
Was she? Didn't somebody go? I don't know. Edge of Extinction also not my most recently rewatched season.
She is the first person from Kama to be voted out of the game. Yes. So what chances do you give Aubrey?
I think Aubrey's got a really tough road here. I'd almost put her a no shot. Especially, I know we want to give some credit to some Final Tribal Council losers who can change it up. I think it's tough with Aubrey because it's not like when she lost, she loses, everyone's up in arms and says she should have won. So it's almost like there's nothing to change. Like, we didn't say that. But when you're told you deserved it, she doesn't know what to learn from that. So if she makes it to final 3, or even in while playing the game, she might have it in the back of her head, like, I know what a winning game looks like. I played a winning game before. I can do that, where in fact that isn't the case. And it might be easier for someone like Coach or Stephanie, who lost in a more definite way, where people are like, yeah, you didn't deserve to win. It was, yeah, you shouldn't have won. And then, yeah, it's, again, game changers.
She goes all the way 5th place. I mean, she goes deep. We just don't hear much from her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it feels more and more that Koran was just kind of like a perfect season for Aubrey and she dominated, but it doesn't feel like it's repeatable. And even in that great season, she went to a jury and lost. So, I mean, who is she sitting next to? What does she have to do? I don't want to say it's like 0% chance, but if we're doing 4 tiers, I would certainly put her in like the bottom 25% chance of this cast. Not that we have to do it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning no shot.
See, I think I would go long shot, and here's my reason why. She goes to Final Tribal her first season. She gets 5th place on an all returning player season. So she's played with all returning players before, and a weird array of all returning players. Game Changers, the most random cast ever put together. She was coming in with one of the biggest targets on her back, much like Cirie, and she gets 5th place. She makes it very deep in the season on a cast where the final 3 are not the 3 people that you're looking at saying, oh, these are the people I should be worried about. Even the final 4, because Ty is there with her all the way up to final 4. So I do think that Aubrey has a little bit better of a chance than people are giving her credit for, because on Edge of Extinction, if she ends up on the Manu tribe to start, she might have a better chance. But that Kama tribe just didn't want to play with her, whereas Manu goes to 4 tribal councils and doesn't vote out David or Kelly. And like, why are you not voting out David Wright, right? So I actually think that her being on an all returning player season really, really helps her. And I think that because of how bad she was in Edge of Extinction, because of how early she went out, that's going to up her game level here. Like, people aren't going to be looking at Aubrey as a threat. And another thing that's helping Aubrey, she was pretty good at puzzles and stuff. She's only 39. She actually skews younger on this cast. And I think that could help her to bridge some gaps. And people forget this because they never actually played real Survivor together. But she was on Edge of Extinction with Rick Devens for a couple days there. So she does know Rick. I think she's a long shot because there's more working in her favor than Edge of Extinction makes you believe.
Yeah, you've talked me into it. I again, when I say no shot, I don't mean 0%. It's just like, I mean, do we really feel like this?
I give Ozzy pretty much 0%.
Pretty much 0. Yeah. I mean, maybe we've had very few no shot people, and it's just, it doesn't feel as hot takey and podcasty, Phil, if we really have to be literal with these tiers. But I'm convinced you can put her in the long shot. I still don't think she has that high of a chance, though.
Yeah, I'd put her behind Colby, behind Stephanie, probably even par with Cirie.
The whole reason we're doing tiers is to not have to rank them anyway. So
I know, but that's just where I'm thinking when I'm saying long shot. Like, I truly think Colby could be in the contender category. And you said you believe Stephanie could be in the contender category.
Why don't we do this? Isn't there the tier list maker, and then we can like share a screen?
I have no idea how to do that. So if you want to see if you can find it, go for gold. I'm moving on to Chrissy, though.
Okay. Wow, we're already at Chrissy, and we're up to season 35. It just is.
And this is the 8th person we're talking about. We're literally into a third of the cast.
Yeah, that's what. All right, let's do this.
All right, Chrissy has tied the record for most immunity challenge wins by a female individual immunity challenge win. She gets the final tribal, loses another one. A lot of people felt she should have won. So does she fall into that Aubrey trap? 54 years old now. It's been a while since we've seen Chrissy play. What do you think as you try to figure out the tier maker?
Yeah, I am trying to.
While you look at that, I'm going to throw this up. Worth playing for it through the super chat, so we got to throw it up. Which player not on the cast has the best odds? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, who's an alternate?
Yeah, who's an alternate? I don't know.
I can't figure it out.
It's not Troy Zhang.
Can't figure out this thing. It should be easier. It should be able to just type in, but I guess you have to use pictures.
You have to get like the JPEGs and throw them in.
Yeah, I don't need to do. Why can't I just do text? It's whatever. We can talk it through. It's fine.
So we're still going to just be doing the ticker at the bottom.
Actually, can I tell you something crazy? Not crazy.
I mean, but that's why we're here. We need hot takes because so far
it's not a hot take, but I had a dream that Chrissy was purple edit this season, and that you'd only hear her, and she'd only come on your screen during challenges, and she was like a challenge beast, but she was like completely unheard of, and she got completely just no screen time. But she made it pretty far. I don't know why I dreamt this, but that's what the dream was. And some of my dreams have predicted the future. Have I told you about the Ray Allen dream?
No, you haven't told me about the Ray Allen dream, but I'm sure everybody's dying to hear the Ray Allen
dream. I had a dream where I was at a Miami Heat game sitting courtside, or basically on the bench. And I was sitting next to Ray Allen, and Eric Spoelstra was standing up kind of near the coach's box, or like standing up at the bench. And Ray Allen goes, "Come on, coach, put me in. I can play. Put me in." And Eric Spoelstra looks to Ray Allen and looks to me because I'm sitting right next to Ray Allen. And Eric Spoelstra says, "No, man, you're too old. I'm not putting you in." The next day in the afternoon, this was breaking news. There was no rumblings. I tried looking up where there rumblings. Was there some sort of, I don't know, insider info in the league? This was breaking news. It was actually not expected to happen. It was like the next day I was at work, and it's like, ESPN breaking news, Ray Allen announces his retirement. And it was like, why did I dream about Ray Allen the night before his retire? He announces his retirement. And it was like coach saying, or Ray Allen was saying, "Put me in." Mm-hmm. And Eric Spoelstra saying, "No, you're too old." And then he, so like Chrissy's going to get purple edit if my dreams continue to predict the future.
So does that mean she has no shot? Because purple edit can't win.
Purple edit can't win. So I got to go no shot, honestly. Actually, and I do think Chrissy is probably closer to no shot than most people think. I think she kind of falls into the Aubrey boat a little bit, where she got to final tribal council, lost. Did we even include her when we counted? There might be 12. It might be 12 on 12. What's going on? There's
a lot of final tribal council losers on this season, and a lot of fallen angels. I mean, this is a deep cast. That's the one thing I will say. I think Tiffany's the worst placing person. She was 8th place, 7th place.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Chrissy, like, Ben wins, And a lot of the communities like that was BS. Production was handing him idols. The fire making twist. Like this was all rigged for Ben. I mean, people I'm sure still believe that. I think I've disproven it or at least attempted to be like it was not rigged for Ben. But she could go in being like, I should have won my first season. I don't need to take anything from my first season or learn anything, similar to Aubrey. Like if you thinking you already played a winning game when you didn't. Because I don't know if Chrissy beats Devin. I don't even know. I mean, Chrissy probably beats Ryan, but
Ryan does get a vote. People forget that. People write Ryan off big time.
I know. I don't know, but I don't know. It's like, so I probably, because of the dream and the purple edit, that probably puts her at no shot. But Chrissy is a great player. Like she's strategic. She's great in challenges, obviously. We're going to see a lot. We're only going to see her in challenges this season.
Yeah, that's what you told me.
As I mentioned. So I don't know. I'm at long shot probably.
Yeah, it seems like we're putting everybody in a long shot, and people are gonna be like, well, you're putting so many people in a long shot, but it's like you said, Will, the older school players have their backs against the wall. We're getting to one of my favorites, actually, and I think one of my contenders coming up as well. But right now, for me, like I agree. I think Chrissy's a long shot. I think she's got a lot to overcome, and I do think that Chrissy's gonna have a little bit of cockiness coming out there. Like, I played a great game my first time. I should have beaten Ben. I've learned from that. I think she ended up surviving cancer since she played Survivor, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So like gone through a lot in her life. I think that Chrissy, I would not like no part of me would be surprised if Chrissy wins, but I don't think she's a contender either.
I think they would surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would surprise me. I would be surprised if you told me. But hey, not that it can't happen, because like if you told me Tony wins 40, I would have been like, get out of here. What are you smoking? Who's your dealer?
Yeah, there you go. Everybody asking you those questions earlier with Coach. So let's jump into the trio of 37s.
Oh, we're already at season 37.
We are. We only have 4 people left from the pre-40 people. You pick who you want to go first with from season 37.
Let's go Mike White.
Never heard of him. Another second place finisher. Have we mentioned any second place finishers on the show yet? It's crazy how they just went to the well with the second place finishers from the pre-40 era.
I think Mike White might be a no shot though, and I hate to say it.
I think he has no chance. I think he has a very good chance of getting to final 5, final 4, maybe even final 3. There's no way he wins this game. I would be flabbergasted if he wins.
We've already seen him play a better game than the person who beat him, and it's like people are not gonna, especially with his success now. Like, I don't know. There's like Hollywood writer actors that you might recognize their face, or they've written something great, and they are well-to-do, successful people. And maybe they aren't as successful as you think, or they don't have as much money as because they have high expenses and they have a team of people they need to pay, and they live a luxurious lifestyle that they need to upkeep, and they need to continue to make money. And you might think, oh yeah, I saw that guy in that TV show. He must be like living on a beach house and be like, multimillionaire. Sometimes that's not the case. No equivocating on that one anymore. Yeah. Okay. Like he's reached a very big level of celebrity and has a boatload of money now. Like there's not really any argument. So for that reason alone, I hate to say that because it is Survivor 50 and people should vote on who played the best game. That's a tough one. And if he wins, power to him. He's obviously a super successful dude, but I mean, damn, I just don't see it.
If Mike White wins, he's dishing out cameos on White Lotus to everybody. I mean, I said this when we did the reaction video. It's like Mike White has a great chance to go far because people are probably going to play a little timid around Mike White and be like, I want to be his friend, because of course you do. He's literally the biggest person to be on the show. I would say at this point, he's probably bigger than Jeff Kent was when he played on Philippines. Jeff Kent.
Way bigger, dude.
Yeah.
Way bigger.
So, you're talking NL MVP or whatever the hell it was. So it's like, when you look at Mike White, he's hit A-list status since he played David versus Goliath. And he's a writer-director.
In terms of behind the camera people, for the everyday person, he might be one of he's A-list in that regard, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously you have your movie directors. Everyone knows Spielberg, Scorsese, but like talk about TV producers, directors. I mean, how many are you naming? You're naming Vince Gilligan, Shonda Rhimes, Lindelof. Like there aren't that many. Mike White
Lindelof could walk by me, I'd have no idea.
What?
I wouldn't know Damon Lindelof walked past me, honestly.
Oh, really? I would.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe I would. But I mean, I would definitely know Mike White walking past me. So I think Mike White's got no shot. I agree. I think he falls in there with Ozzy. He'd have to sit next to Ozzy.
Yeah, I mean, that could be funny if we do this out and we have a few long or no shots. It's like who wins the final three of the no shots.
Yeah.
And then we have to move them out of the category. Actually, you really can only have 2 people in the no shot category.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to have more. Yeah. Angelina, the person he beats at Final Tribal, Angelina.
I do think Angelina is someone who very much learned a lot about herself on her first time playing and can actually use that, like apply what she's learned. And it's been a while. I don't know. It's been like what, 6 years, 7 years?
More. I think they played in 2018. So 7 years. Yeah.
So that's and for her age, that's like a very important part of
she's
your
a
life.
Mom twice now. She wasn't a mom back then. Like I don't even think her and her husband were married yet.
I think
now
she's married.
35.
But now, I mean, she's now, so I think Angelina too, like I mentioned with Coach, very few people on this cast seem to be put on the show just for their entertaining personalities. Like it seems like, which is weird because you'd think we would have more Carolyns or more people that are just there to make good TV. Angelina feels like one of those players, but she can absolutely, I don't know, turn it around. I I almost put her as a contender.
I think she's a contender. I totally agree with you. I think her and Jenna Lewis are like my dark horses, where everybody's going to write off Angelina because she's a
dark horses are
long
shots, Phil. Gosh darn.
But okay. But here's the thing. I think that she's a dark horse because people are saying she has no chance. I think Angelina could be one of my top 5 picks for this season, which sounds ridiculous. Totally different portion of her life, well connected on the cast. And like you said with Coach, no one is going to take her seriously. Angelina walks on that island and you go, jacket, funny. She did a rice negotiation. She put a ladder next to something that was waist high on 5'8" Mike White. Like
you wouldn't need a ladder to get up there. One of my favorite lines from
one of the funniest things ever. So for
Nick
me,
said, I think it was or Mike. No, it was Nick. Yeah,
I think it was Mike, wasn't it? I don't know. Maybe it was Nick.
I think it was Nick, but yeah.
Either way, I think Angelina is a legitimate contender because I think she could surprise some people. And by the time they realize that she's outplaying them, she's already won. She kind of has like a Lucina thing going on here. Lucina got totally duped on Cagayan. And then all of a sudden she comes back for Game Changers and she's like, that's not happening again. And I think Angelina has grown a lot since then. I think Angelina is a contender for sure.
I like it. I'm with you. I mean, those are the players I'm looking at where like, especially we're expecting this bloodbath early that, man, Coach Angelina, they're just not who you're looking at first.
Yeah, I agree. So then the last one from this season's Christian, who everybody's probably the most excited, or at least that's the one everybody was clamoring for right after the season, but he also worst placement out of all of them. What's your take? I'm so up in the air on Christian. I have no idea what to do with him.
I almost put him no shot, honestly.
I think he'd at least be a long shot because are people still looking at Christian as a big threat? Are the new era people even caring about Christian? You think so?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think season 37 is close enough to I mean, if you want to crunch the numbers here, Phil, like Christian has played closer to Jonathan or D or even Kyle and Joe than some of the old school players. Like, obviously Rizgod too. Yeah. So I think he's still fresh and he's been like, everyone's clamoring for him. He was a breakout star, and not that Angelina wasn't, but he was a breakout star in a different way. where
he was your David Wright type, your Rob Sister.
Yeah, and he was your type of player that you are like, don't let that's what it was. I mean, like, don't let Christian get to the end, he'll beat you. That's what it became in David versus Goliath. And what was Angelina? Take her to the end so you can beat her.
Mm-hmm.
It's opposite sides of a coin. Is that the phrase? I don't know if that's the phrase.
Yeah, same thing.
I don't know.
Same thing.
But I worry. I don't know how he gets to Final 3.
I want to throw this up though. Sandy P and a couple other people have said it. Also, didn't Christian involve in RHAP and have connection to some of the new era people? That's where I think he could maybe fit, because I think he's done this blood on the clock tower, some of these things where maybe he has more friends than we realize coming in.
I think he's got a lot of friends, and I think he's really likable, and I think he's very involved. And I almost look at him as more of like a new era type of player. But for me, when you have such a high performing first season, that actually hurts you. If he went out and was just good TV and wasn't a strategic threat or a threat to win his season, and then he's like heavily involved, it's like, sure, now he's got relationships, now he's not threatening. But when you are a huge threat and now you get to know everybody and everyone gets to like you and you become even more threat, now you're playing like social deduction games with people that I'm sure he's excelling at. I don't think it helps him.
Now, here's one different avenue that we haven't really looked at with anybody else. He didn't play in the new era, but with all the new era lost votes, random shit that happens, journeys, puzzles, all this stuff, could that benefit him in the pre-merge portion of the game where he ends up having a boatload of advantages working in his favor?
I don't know. Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think,
go ahead.
No, I mean, I think Christian can play with or without advantages.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean, so I like no shot. You like long shot.
Yeah, I'd put him in no shot. We can put him in no shot, though. I just think my thing is, are we going to?
How does he get to the end? How does he not get voted out?
That's true, and that's what I'm saying though. But like, could we be kicking ourselves somewhere down the line where we're like, no, Christian's just really that good at the game?
Have we seen that though?
No, on Dave vs. Goliath, honestly, I think he was a little overrated.
I think he's a really fun character.
For sure.
Super endearing. And I think he knows the game very well. And when he speaks about the game, he does a very good job of it. But like, we haven't seen him pull off anything I know the David's got the numbers back, but then he became the next target after that, honestly. Then he became too big of a threat.
Yeah. And I think he plays a successful. I haven't watched Dave vs. Goliath in forever, but yeah. I don't know. All right. You want to throw him at no shot then? That's where you're at?
I would do no shot. If Christian somehow wins, I'll eat my words. I really think he's too big of a threat. I'm sorry, Christian. I've met Christian before. He's a great guy. That's why. I mean, I think that's what makes him so threatening.
Yeah. And I actually think people probably overrate his David versus Goliath game in a non-beneficial way here. I think they think he's better than he really is. So,
or not that he is better than he is, but that his game on David versus Goliath was better than it was.
That's what I mean. Yeah, Christian.
Not that he's incapable of playing a great game, but that we haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Last person from pre-40, Rick Devens. You know where I'm putting him, right?
Favorite.
He's a favorite.
He might be. I think he's another one where he's looked at entertaining personality first, gameplay second.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, but he's not as crazy or kooky of a personality like Angelina or Coach, where his personality is just, he's charming, he's engaging. I mean, he does news, he's a news anchor, he does TV. Like, he's a lot of fun, but it doesn't take away from his like strategic chops, but he's not necessarily that threatening. Edge of Extinction is not an often rewatch season. It's not held in high regard by many people due to Edge of Extinction.
He's also voted out 4th on that season.
He manages to sneak back in.
I'm just saying though, like, he is voted out early.
Voted out 4th and places 4th.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So Blake and I, we've pre-recorded a majority of his episodes for Everything You Need to Know About. How many immunity challenges do you think Rick Devens won?
I don't know, 2.
He won 4. Rick Devens won 4 immunities.
Did you count the redemption, the buyback chart, whatever.
I'm not even counting that. and he won 4 immunity challenges and played 2 successful idols. But I don't think people think of him as a challenge threat. And I don't think, like, yes, with idols and everybody, he was handed an idol when he comes back into the game on Edge of Extinction. And that season is such a mess. Yes, he was the favorite late. He eats up a lot of screen time, but like, I don't think people are looking at Devins as a massive threat to win. And I think Devins is so likable. His personality is so just disarming. I think he's a favorite to win the game because if you let him get to the end, he's going to make a speech that everybody's going to want to vote for him. He's got the kids. He's got the family. He's got a great personality. He's great at talking. I think he's a favorite. I think Rick Devins, out of all the old school players, has the best chance to win the game. And he's season 38, so old school.
Yeah. I don't hate the take. I don't love anyone else really except for Coach, honestly. I don't hate it. But I don't know. I still like Coach better, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't put him as a favorite, but
I want to put him as a favorite. I think he is legitimately the best chance, and he hasn't had to face a jury, right? Like Coach, I put as a little bit longer of a shot than Devins because he's faced a jury and lost. And I know you say, well, you can learn from that, but what does Coach learn from Tyson? He doesn't have Tyson this time, and I do worry a little bit that Coach goes out there and it's been so long that he leans a little bit harder into his shtick this time than he did in South Pacific.
I don't know. I hope not. I think Coach is playing for keeps season 50. Devins as a favorite. Sure.
I'm doing it.
Do it. I know
I'm in control over here.
I know. I mean, I could, if you want, I could just delete everything and put my own list in there, but I won't do that.
You're not allowed.
But like, it's weird. We just went through. Did we go through all the old school players?
We did. All of the pre-40 players.
We only have one of them as a favorite. I mean, I guess we had to put somebody in.
I mean, also with favorites, like I'm thinking 3 or 4 at most, really. Like, you know, like right. I'm talking like this is a favorite to win the game. Just like you were saying with No Shot, it should really only be 2 people. Maybe favorite should only be 1/6 of the cast at most. So maybe we are doing this right. Maybe more of the favorites are coming up.
Probably
like Jonathan Young.
Is that where we're going? That's right. Season 42.
That's it. The only representative of 41 to 44.
I kind of feel like No Shot.
I think Jonathan could get dragged very deep into the game.
I don't think he's winning a jury over.
But I don't think he wins the jury. I put him at No Shot as well.
Yeah, we saw a little bit come out late in season 42 that he kind of just rubbed people the wrong way. Not to say he's not a stand-up dude, but like you are out there on an island without food, and if you aren't managing your relationships, it's going to be tough to get jury votes. And it seemed like he really struggled with the strategic part of the game. Like we would have Marianne or Lindsay, you know, explain a plan to him, and he was not able to wrap his head around it. Like, why are you complicating things? Why are you? And it's like, no, dude, we got to like play in case someone has an idol. We have to split the votes. We have to orient our moves in a certain way that nets us a positive result. And like he was just like, no, let's just vote this person out. Like that wasn't, I don't know, in season 50, even if he wins a bunch of challenges, like that's not what a jury of season 50 is going to vote for to win. So I no shot here. I'm sorry.
He's the new era Ozzy, in my opinion. He's going to play straightforward. People are going to want to align with him early. He'll help you win challenges in the pre-merge. You're not going to vote him out pre-merge. He makes the merge. But this isn't about who has the best chance of going deep. This is what are the chances of winning. Jonathan doesn't have a chance to win.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, that's it. That's well said.
Yeah. We have another one here from another super chat. What are the odds we have a twice losing finalist? This comes from Kevin Hernandez.
Very high because what we have 11 of 24 people.
Yeah, it's either 11 or 10, whatever we came to the conclusion of. It's a lot.
I forgot Chrissy was in there. So like when we went through it, and we have Mike and Angelina. So it's like they kept stacking up.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, and I think Joe could easily get to the end too. And honestly, I think Joe can win, but we'll get
Can we do a count on this? Official count.
Official count.
Okay. We got
of people who have lost at Final Tribal Council.
Yes.
Colby. I'm going to go in order. Colby?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it. Do you have it in front of you?
No, I'm just going through it in my head.
Stephanie. Ozzy.
Yeah.
Coach. Aubrey. Chrissy is 6. Mike White, Angelina, that's 8. And I got to keep going. We have, I'm trying to go in order, Charlie and Joe. So it's 10.
It's only 10.
It's 10, but then 2 people also have 1, and we don't know if Savannah or Rizzo.
Savannah and Rizzo are both Final Tribal Council losers.
And then we have 12.
And then it's 12 on 12, and the 3-tribe thing we saw was just a big hoax. They put it out there to trick people.
Yeah, I mean, we could have losing finalists as 12 of the cast. Like, we don't know. So, all right, I got to go back to where I was then. So Jonathan, we agree, has no shot. We go to Emily Flippin. Does Emily have a chance?
I almost want to put her. It's almost like enough time has passed, even though it's so recent. I don't know. And she didn't make it all that far. She had like her arc, and we love her. I don't know if you're viewing Emily as like the biggest strategic threat, because her story was so much growth. It wasn't as much game. Does that ring true to you?
She has the move where she gets
and then she blabbed about it, and then
she blabs about it literally the next day. Was Bruce goes home, she blabs about it the next day, she goes home. She gets 7th place. I don't think Emily's journey is awesome, and I love Emily. I don't think Emily's as good of a survivor player, so good of a survivor player that people are going to be like, we got to get her out. We got to be worried about Emily.
No,
I don't think I'm worried about Emily at all.
Again, I agree with you, because you're not thinking strategic gameplay when you first think of Emily. You think of great story, great arc, character growth from Emily. And that's not something that immediately threatens you.
Like, do you think she's a favorite, or is she a contender?
I honestly might put her as one of them. We have so few favorites. I would definitely put her at least contender, but it would potentially knock her up into favorites if we don't have very many favorites. Because again, I don't like a lot of we have to have someone that we like. Right now, I like Coach.
Devins. That's Devins.
Oh, God. I think Emily, honestly, it's not like we just saw her season. It's not like she's Genevieve or was even at Genevieve level. But we have seen savvy strategic chops. So I'm willing to do it, Phil. Let's put favorite.
Because I think this would shock people when it first came out. Like, if you were to say after Emily played the first time, is Emily really going to be a favorite? But here's the deal. She's on a season with 2 winners at least. We don't know if the other 2 are winners. I'm sure Jeff will tell everybody on the beach in 50, like, these people either made Final Tribal or whatever. Same thing they did with Russell, where it was he was a villain and he made Final Tribal Council. That's what you need to know. So I do wonder if he'll tell them, considering Riz and Savannah already know if they won, if they were in Final 3, because they do the vote on the beach. But if you think about it, there's at least 2 winners with Kyle and D. The winner of Emily's season is there. You have Cirie Fields. You have Mike White. You have Christian Hubicki. You have really massive physical threats. You have Genevieve. Like, I think Emily falls into the bottom half of threats on this season.
That Coach in there.
I mean, coaches, nobody's taking seriously.
No one's taking Coach seriously. That's what I live. Yeah, Emily's a favorite. I think this works out for her, I think.
Mm-hmm. So then we get to the winner of her season, D.
I probably put D as a long shot. I don't want to put her in no shot because it's so weird. I'm with you. Like, why do we have 2 out of 24 people as winners? Why couldn't we have done all non-winners? Even though I love D, not someone I really needed to see play again, honestly, or at least this soon, or at least on season 50. I still rank her as the best new player, best winner of the new era. But that's tough when there's only 2 of you out there, or potentially 3. But then even it's either 2 or 3. It's not like Rizgod and Savannah are both winning. So yeah, maximum 3 winners, and then it's 3 out of 24. That still isn't that good.
I think, though, what becomes interesting about D and Kyle is how will we see players who feel that their threats try to use D and Kyle to further themselves, right? So that they always have a bigger shield. And then when it comes to D, do they wait too long? She's very good at individual challenges. Do they wait too long and let her get too deep? Because I don't think that we're coming in like all-stars where it's like, we just want to get rid of them. I think it's honestly like, that's a D is a phenomenal shield for you right now, which is why I think she should go in long shot, like you were saying. I don't think she's a no shot. I don't think Kyle's a no shot either, because I do think that they can be used as shields.
Yes. With you there, I do see D and Kyle not being like, hey, they're winners, get rid of them. I think there's a world where they go very deep, but how deep? How long do you let those two winners who have proven they can get the jury votes, proven they've played a good enough game to win the show? Especially if there's a chance we're merging at 15 or something. Like you could make it, all right, you can make it 6 votes through the merge from 15 till 9 and then go out. And it's like, you still got 9th place. Like you still weren't that close. So, yeah.
And we already know that they can win a jury if they get to the finals, which helps a lot.
If there were more of them, if there were like 6 winners on here, that would really change this for me. But because there's only 2, it just, I don't know, makes it tricky.
Because what is it in Heroes Villains? There's 4?
Sandra, Parv, Tom,
JT,
and then any villain winners besides Parv?
I think that's it.
Yeah, 4.
Boston Rob hadn't won yet. So it was 4 out of 20 coming into that season.
Yeah. And then, you had Russell and Rob like kind of anchoring that villains tribe without wins yet, or without wins at all. Final tribal council games.
I mean, here's Blake. This is why Blake's not here right now. I mean, the long shot can't be the winner as a shield and then wins 9 individual immunities, but I think they could try to use D as a shield or Kyle as a shield till way later into the post merge, because it's like, if I'm seen as a threat, I want to keep those people around as long as I can and then cut them kind of like Jesse cuts Cody. Yeah.
And long shot doesn't mean you have to win 9 immunities in a row. It's like, it's just, we give D and probably Kyle too. Like there's greater than non-zero. Like I would, if I had a bet, if you told me I had to place a bet on either D or Ozzy winning season 50, I would put my money on D, sooner than I would put it on Ozzy.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right. Q.
I don't know, man. That's a question mark. Like there is a world where Q wins season 50 in my head, but there's also a world where he's got no chance already. He's drawing debt. Like there's just no way.
How does Q, here's my thing. How does Q get to the end and convince a jury to give him votes?
I don't think he would have to change up his game so much. Q's whole deal was, I need to be in control. I need to know what's happening. I'm telling people what to do. If I don't have control, I get grumpy. I actually kind of maybe will threaten to quit. I might spaz out. I might lose it. And not in like a totally negative way. He was fun throughout the whole thing. But if he keeps that up, where if he doesn't have control the whole time and kind of lets out, I don't want to say temper is probably not the best word. I'm trying, like, he just has these outbursts.
He's a sore loser. That's what it felt like.
Where he kind of freaks out when things aren't going his way. And like, if you play like that, it's going to be really hard to convince the jury to vote for you. So if he can change, if he learned from his experience on 46, which I'm sure he did, as all these players probably have, then I don't want to rule it out. I don't want to rule it out, Phil. Are you thinking no shot or long shot? Because I don't know if I can go up to contender.
Here's the thing with Survivor Archivist says, if Q can do a winners at war Tony and just control his inner Q for most of the game, maybe, but I doubt that'll happen. It's Q. I don't see him changing much. But you know what helps Q? Pretty good at challenges. And again, nobody's really going to take him that seriously. If he sits next to Mike White and Jonathan at the end, I think he could win. He's still got to get to the end with them.
Yeah. I think and I've been saying this about your players that have been cast on this season for their TV entertainment, their personalities, and not so much their survivor skill, their survivor gameplay, or even chances of winning the game or being good at the game. Q to me does fall into a category, not with Rick Devens, not with Coach, not with Angelina, in that Q's personality and why he's so entertaining is that he is very hard to play with. And I do think even if he's not viewed as this mastermind strategic threat, the way he plays the game, the way he wants control, the way he wants to dictate where the votes are going, that is in itself threatening. And not that he's a jury threat or not that you're worried about him like ousting you or beating you, but because it's Q's way or no way, that's someone that you kind of you don't want to play with, that you don't want them on your tribe. You don't want them on the island with you. So for that reason, it's like he's not in that camp with Coach, with Angelina, with Devins.
So are you giving him a long shot or a no shot? I'm going to let you make the call on this because
I would say long shot because I think there's a world in which he learns from his first season. It does hurt him that was only a couple of years ago. It's not like he's had this time to grow and mature, but maybe seeing yourself on TV. Again, tough. Maybe this is a little bit Aubrey, Chrissy, where it's like Q should have won, but Aubrey plays, she's told you should have won. Chrissy plays, you got screwed over, Ben shouldn't have won, you should have won. Q goes and plays, he, I think, irritates a lot of people on his cast, probably plays a losing game if he gets to Final Tribal Council, yet when the season airs, he is celebrated by the fans, by Jeff. He's brought back for 50, and he's the fan favorite. He gets the most screen time. He gets the most confessionals. He's the biggest character. He's the loudest voice in the room. And so because he was rewarded for the way he played the first time, it's harder for him to change. Long shot,
I'm going to say long shot as well. A lot would have to go right for him to win. And I think more often than not, he can't convince a jury to give him. Here's another super chat. John Fontiel. This podcast has come a long way. This is just a random super chat. Thanks, man.
Thank you. That means a lot.
That's nice to hear.
We try.
Nice it's 12:30 in the morning here on the East Coast, so it's nice to hear that on a Wednesday night.
And I had a 12-hour day that I just got back from to do this. And so we are grinding here. We do appreciate it, but we love it. We have fun. I'm having a great time, Phil. You having a good time?
I love this. Dude, honestly, I know we were talking about it at the beginning. It's not the cast we want, but now that we know it's the cast, I love talking about the Survivor 50 cast. I mean, this is the third podcast in a week I've done talking about 50 or people who didn't make 50. And then I've been doing the everything you need to know about, done some with Blake. I've done some with Tegwith. It's like, it's great.
It definitely is, you know, in the off seasons, we're always struggling. Like, let's come up with topics. Let's find something to do. And 50, it's just going to keep talking about Survivor 50.
If people are going to keep eating it up, we're going to keep talking about it. And honestly, I think it's all anybody wants to talk about all summer. We got plenty of content coming, so get ready. All right. Next person, also from his season, from his starting tribe, Tiffany. Probably the most shocking person on this season, on this cast, in my opinion. Somebody who I really did not see coming. Will, this was my winner pick from 46.
This was my winner pick from 46.
No, your winner pick from 46 was.
Hang
on, I have it. No, it definitely was. Oh, how convenient, Will. Was your winner pick for 47?
No, I just forgot. Maybe it was Kenzie.
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up because this is important to let everybody know who Will actually picked. We put crowns on everybody. 46. Where is Survivor 46? I think you had, maybe you did have Tiffany. No, I had Tiffany. You had Tim. Right. Get out of here. I think I had Tim. You had Tim.
I think I wanted to pick Tiffany and then you picked Tiffany. I didn't want to have the same winner pick. I think that's what it was.
Maybe that's what it was. What do you think?
Tiffany. I mean, she doesn't come in with that high of a threat level, right? You already said she was the player who plays the worst on her initial season out of the entire 24-person pool.
Yeah, I think she's 8th place on her first season. I mean, Jenna also was 8th on her first, but then plays again and does better.
We don't love Tiffany's jury performance, and is that weighing on you at all? Like,
dude, honestly, we've already talked about her for too long. Let's move on.
I don't know. I think she had an idol. She plays an idol. Things go right in 46. She could have won that season. I don't think we can write her off.
I think she's a contender. I think she was awful at that Final Tribal Council, and I hope she sits at Final Tribal and somebody pulls the same thing to her. But I think she's a contender. We see this time and time again. Amber wins All-Stars. Sandra wasn't seen as that big of a threat out of everybody coming into Heroes Villain. She was kind of being overlooked, even though she was a former winner. Game Changers, Sarah Lucina was, what she finished 11th on her first season, second chance.
Jeremy Jeremy didn't go all that deep. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's true. This is the type of player who wins these seasons. Is she a favorite?
She might be.
I think she might be, Phil.
She really might be. Like, I truly think that she could win this season.
And I think she's a pretty competent player. I know we don't like her in Final Tribal Council as a juror, but guess what? If she gets to the final three, she's never in that position of being a juror. And I think she was playing a pretty good guy. I think she's socially pretty good too.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenzie was threatened by her, wanted to vote her off and then didn't, and then did, and then I think we might have to put her in a contender list just because of the nature of these.
Well, I think we've locked her in as contender. Do you think she's
a favorite? Favorite. I think we have to put her as a favorite.
So Tiffany is I mean, because even like you think about Kelly Wentworth coming in a second chance, she almost wins that season. She was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and she had no target on her back. I don't think anybody's looking at Tiffany as somebody that they're worried about. And I do think Tiffany going through the whole Banu situation at the beginning, that's huge. She needs to stay away from Q. If she stays away from Q, I think she's better off. Like Isabel here says, Q sunk her game with the idol thing. Like, she just needs to stay away from Q, and I think she could win this season.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Charlie, the last 46er. Runner up again. I think Charlie's got a really good chance.
Did we count Charlie in our count of? I feel like we keep. Okay,
we did.
I keep thinking like, what? Did we count that person?
Wesley White says, if Charlie is on the jury, does he ruin her final tribal council? Could be mad. What do you think? Can Charlie win?
It's like you don't want to. Should he have won 46, Phil? Do we have? He shouldn't have.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that Kenzie's a worthy winner. Like
Charlie, no, I'm not saying she's not a worthy winner.
I mean, I think Maria didn't want to vote for him, but at the end of the day, that's Maria's prerogative, right? Like, she can do what she wants. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And here's the thing. I think people look at that final tribal more as, how did Charlie lose to Kenzie, more than Charlie played this excellent, amazing game. That's how I feel about it. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it seemed like even as that season was airing, and you and I, that was the first podcast, or that was the first season we did together. It felt like it was a lot of people were thinking Charlie was going to win just because he was talking the most, but he wasn't really playing the best strategic game. I don't think people are going to be threatened by Charlie, honestly. I think he's coming in as a second place finisher. And I think people are looking at it as like, we lost to Kenzie and like, you're kind of just like a normal guy. There's nothing that screams threat. I think he's a contender. I don't think he's a favorite, but I think he's a contender. I really do.
No, I think people look at Charlie as a threat. Again, everyone knows Kenzie won, and no one's not trying to knock Kenzie, but it's like Charlie is often argued as one of the best second place finishers of all time. Maybe the best second place finisher behind only Dom. Like, who played a better second place game? Maybe Russell, maybe Rob, but then like they have so many negatives. It's like Charlie didn't piss anyone off.
Yeah.
Like, if he gets his number one ally in the game to vote for him, he wins the season. And we are still confused kind of as to the reasoning of why that vote went that way from Maria. Yeah. So he was perhaps the closest to winning outside of Dom.
And I think his social
maybe even close. You could argue even closer. Actually, you couldn't argue.
You can't argue it. But I think that the thing is, if Maria votes for him, Ben votes for him to win. Like, Ben 100%.
Oh, totally. So yeah, if he flips one vote, he wins. And then you could say the same thing about Dom.
Yeah. So I think that Charlie's social game is good enough, though, that I think he's still a contender. I don't think he's a long shot. Like, I think coming into this, Charlie is somebody that the new era people, there's bigger fish to fry. Like,
true.
I think there's bigger threats there. And I think the old school, he's not a legend.
Yeah, he's in this middling place where, like, on paper, he should be threatening, but maybe he just isn't.
Yeah.
And then I think he's actually just so good socially. He probably, like, I don't know. He probably makes you feel safe and like you don't have to worry about him when he really is cooking something up. I don't think I can go favorite. So I guess contender's the best place, but Charlie's one of those players I could see like it was on the On Fire podcast. Maybe that increases his threat level a little bit. Especially he was a little bit more recent than Devins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm between long shot and contender. Sounds like you're a contender. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I think we throw him in as a contender. All right, man. Worth playing for. Clarified himself. And it's a super chat. So here it is. Of the players that were cut, who could have won? That's what he wants to know. He's still focused on people who aren't even here.
That's the thing, though, why it's so tough, because if the cast we wanted was on, it changes how our whole outlook on the season. Like if you have Sean Rector, Rob Sesternino, Bisepia, Penner
could have won, I think.
Like if the cast is made up of all people of maybe we spread out the eras more, some more old school players, we don't lean as heavily new school, then the winner chances kind of they move around. I am very low on a lot of the old school people because of how new this cast is, and not only because it's 12 new era players, but because even the pre-40 people are often very new. We have 3 people from 37, someone from 35, so
38,
someone from 38. So that's such a hard question. And I appreciate the super chats, but it's like, who are they playing with? If we swap Penner in here for Colby, do I feel great about Penner? Not really, but if we swap out 8 of the new era players and put in 8 old school players, then I would feel totally differently.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Are you ready?
I don't know, but I feel like I keep running into these.
I feel like you're right. We have 4 people left. Only one of them is from 47, the most popular season of the new era. Somehow it's not 3 from 48 or 3 from 47 and 1 from 48. So Genevieve.
Queen.
And you take your heart out of it and actually
Mother.
Yeah. What do you got?
God,
she's way too big of a threat. She's way too big of a threat.
It's so annoying though, because like she did like one thing post merge. It was like I know she had the Keyshawn vote, but then once it got to the post merge, she took out what? She took out Saul, right? And then it was like,
and then Operation Italy she's involved in, and
I don't know. I'm like, I want Genevieve. Like, I'm rooting for Genevieve. I love Genevieve. I just like that's somebody who we've been like downplaying, not even downplaying, but we're saying the threats of a lot of these players aren't as high as you might think. Charlie, someone who's clearly strategic, got over the final tribal council, 1 vote away from winning. Who's a bigger threat, Charlie or Genevieve? It's Genevieve.
Yeah. So Genevieve might be seen as a bigger threat than D and Kyle.
Yeah. No, it's possible. I mean, she's just got the reputation of a killer, of an assassin, which she is. And her season was so recent. It's not like 48 delivered. I know we have 3 players from 48. It's not like we put 3 assassins out there. No one from 48 is more threatening than Genevieve.
No.
So that doesn't even help her in terms of like recency. So I almost
think it's a long shot.
I mean, almost, for being real, I mean, probably no shot, which I would hate to do. But like, how does she find herself in a good spot on her tribe and get all the way through the merge?
Here's what I think needs to happen. She needs to be on a tribe that wins a lot early, or she ends up with.
There's not going to be any tribes winning a lot early.
But if she's loaded with
them are going to tribal council every time.
If she's on a tribe with a winner, if she's on a tribe with a Cirie, if she's on a tribe, like I could see Cirie wanting to work with Genevieve. Absolutely. Because that takes the heat off of Cirie a little bit.
That's a 6-2 vote right there.
Maybe. I don't know. I think she's a long shot because I think she
Yeah. I mean, if Tony can win, maybe Genevieve can win, but Tony had the buffer, the game changers buffer in there. So let's do long shot because we want to hope for the best.
Yeah, dude. Let's not count out the person.
We don't want to count out
the one new era person that it seems everybody is most excited for, and we're gonna go here and put her as a long shot. But that's what happened, or as a no shot. But that's what happens. We're gonna go long shot. Let's go Kyle because we've already kind of talked about him. Put him in the same kind of era as D here, where he could be used to get a little bit further, and then maybe they let him stick around too long. He kind of falls into a long shot. Is that where you feel?
Yeah, I think Kyle's a long shot, especially it is 100% the most. They literally saw the finale and then went to go play.
And then left.
They literally, the last image of Survivor, the last episode, if they're all caught up, can't assume that. But if they are caught up, that's the last thing they've seen is Kyle winning the check for $1 million. That's your lasting image of Survivor. Yeah. So I think that makes it really tough.
And look, I could see why people would say he's a no shot, but I'm going to say he's a long shot because I could see people trying to use him and D to go further in the game, knowing that those are the biggest targets in the game.
And then you get an advantage, you get a flip, you get something, you get a journey.
Yeah.
The fans
you get a safety without power at final 7 of your tribal phase. Like, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
The fans voted for dynamic advantages, right?
I really hope not, man. I really hope not. All right, let's go to Camila, his partner in crime.
Camila is probably a favorite, right?
I think she falls more into contender because of the format of the season. I think she could be in trouble with the tribes losing so much early, and she just isn't that good. I mean, she's great at puzzles, but if they're like, we want to vote somebody out, she's a strategist, that's her reputation, I think she could be in trouble.
See, I think what's good for Camila, though, is that while I think we online appreciate her game, and it's like she was like low key running the show and she had the jury votes and was in on the whole plans with Kyle the whole time. I don't know if she's fully seen by that by other people watching the show or even other cast members that might not be like as online or as in tune. It's like, again, Camila or Genevieve, who are you more threatened by? Genevieve. Camila or D, who are you more threatened by? D. I mean, we could keep going. I mean, even like Camila or Chrissy. Probably Chrissy. I don't know. I mean, you might be threatened. Maybe. I think we all love her online, and that's not as, that love doesn't exist as much with other people.
Do you just don't know? I get what you're saying. I just don't know if I can put her as a favorite because I just think there's still so many. I mean, somebody put in the comments over here, you can't pick her when her strategy is to run people over with a bus and just throw people under the bus over and over and over again. I don't know, like, and still fresh in people's minds. And then it was announced at that reunion or at the after show that if she makes the final tribal, she wins.
True.
That's scary.
Yeah, it just we got enough of Camila to remember her and like her, but it wasn't like she got this. Wow, she's the mastermind of this. You know, the killer assassin that we've gotten from Genevieve, which is fine. And I'm not saying she can't be a threat still, but part of me thinks that Camila is sitting in a pretty good spot here.
I think contender.
Contender. I'm fine with contender.
All right. So we're on to our last person that we know anything about because the other two 49s are in question mark territory. I don't think they can win, but we'll see. Long shots at best. We're up to Joe.
Joe's a tricky one. I mean, I've been saying I don't need to see anyone from 48 play again. But out of the 48ers, I'm actually probably most excited to see Joe. Even though I didn't enjoy Joe as much as Kyle or Camila, I think I've seen Kyle and Camila's game. I've seen what they can do. I think Joe without Eva is at least a question mark. And I think he will go into this game playing with a not honor integrity one majority alliance. He might be a little bit more cutthroat. He hinted at it in season 48, and maybe there was part of the storytelling there that was saying, hey, we know we have Joe back for 50. Obviously, they hadn't shot it yet, but maybe this is an arc they could potentially lean into that. Hey, I was with Eva. We had this emotional connection that was kind of bigger than the game. And now Eva's not here. And I didn't win. And I have to change my game. And I got to play harder. I got to play meaner. I got to play faster. And Joe could be a very compelling person to see on this season. So while I didn't love him in 48, and while I wish we had 0 people from 48 on this cast, I'm willing to see what version 2 of Joe looks like. And I think you might have him as a contender. I don't know if I want to say favorite because we haven't seen the game from him that I think you need to win a new era Survivor season, especially season 50. But he's not. We just said people's lasting image was Kyle winning, and then also everyone raising their hand at the reunion saying Camila would have won if she was sitting there. that comes with Joe losing as the last thing people have seen. So you're probably not that threatened by Joe. You think of him as the good old dad, family man who's going to play straight up game. If he deviates from that and is able to make some things happen, I could see him winning. So I would put him on as a contender.
I think Joe is one of the 4 favorites to win the season.
He's favorite. Sure. I mean, you could convince me. I'm probably a contender, but
and here's the thing. A lot of people are sitting here saying, well, Joe, we just watched Joe get the final 3 and lose. Okay, we did. But he also played a way different game than he intended on playing when he walked out there. Him and Eva had that bond right from the beginning, and now he's kind of playing a different thing altogether. I think that at this point, coming into this season, people are looking at Joe going, we don't really know his game. But what helps Joe so much on this season, he just played, but he's 45 and he's that dad and whatever. This cast is so much older than normal casts. And if you think about the game that Joe just played, he just played a very old school style of game. He gets on a starting tribe with Ozzy or Colby or even Coach. Those are people he's aligning with. He could align with Stephanie LaGrossa. He could align with Chrissy. He could align with Mike White. I think there are so many allies for Joe on this season. He's a physical beast. He's going to be great in the pre-merge for your challenges, and you don't have to worry about Joe blindsiding you. He's going to play a pretty straightforward game. You know Joe can be manipulated, right? We saw that happen with the Shaheen boot, but also Joe's learned from that. And I think that there's enough people coming out there saying, I want to play with that guy because he's going to play it straightforward. He's not going to do anything super crazy, and he's somebody who can go to the end and beat. But I don't necessarily think that they can go to the end and beat him. I just think they think that they can beat him because I think that he played a better game. He just played it on the wrong season. And because of the Eva relationship, it cost him votes at the end and he couldn't make any moves or have the pitch that Kyle had. He sits next to the right people on this season, he wins. He can sit next to the wrong people on this season. Just be likable enough and get through this game. And I think he could also win. David Dubel says, yeah, but post-merge. He's not a threat post-merge. So what if he wins challenges? It doesn't matter. You don't see the strategy. You want to keep somebody that's predictable.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I think favorite is just a little too high. I think he's a contender because there's nothing from Joe really. It's not like we saw the writing on the wall and that he had the read on the game and was deciding not to use it because of Eva. It was just more that he wasn't participating in that facet of the game. So we don't know that exists for him.
It might not, but I also
That's think what I'm saying. If I'm going to put someone as a favorite, I need to at least have seen some game chops, and we really didn't see much of that from Joe. And he just played.
We put Tiffany as a favorite, though.
I had more. There's more game chops from Tiffany than Joe in their 2 seasons, 100%. How many votes? Joe is third. Eva got more votes than Joe.
Yeah, I think Joe's worst part of his game though was his final tribal council, and to be honest with you, I think that he learns a lot from that. He gets the final tribal. Yeah, it just happened. It's
I'm
fresh
not
in his
saying
mind.
that can't happen, but he's way more of a contender than a favorite.
I mean, look, I put Coach in contender, even though you think he's a favorite. I'll put Joe in contender, even though I think he's a favorite, but I think that Joe's a favorite. I do. But I'll put him in contender because we're a team, Will.
Yeah, I think that's
fine. We got this one here.
Enough from Joe to put him as a favorite.
We got this one here from Cody Brayman, another super chat. Genevieve, Camila, and Cirie form a tight trio and dominate this game. I mean, that is probably what
I'm here for it. I would love to see it.
That would be fun. So
Genevieve win would be incredible.
A Genevieve win would be pretty insane. And that's kind of what I think the fan base, old school fans, new era fans, whatever era of fan you are, Genevieve winning, I think would be satisfying to a lot of people. So to end this out, almost 2 hours, almost 1 a.m, I'm dying. My eyes hurt. It's not from looking at you, Will. My eyes just hurt.
I'm dying too. I'm right there with you, buddy.
Who's your winner pick? Because we got to do this before the season starts. It starts Friday.
Oh, I thought they've already were shooting.
No, they started doing the interviews were today. Preseason interviews were today.
Why do we know why is the schedule so available? That's weird.
Well, it's all the preseason people are posting stuff. That's why.
Oh. I got it. I'm going Coach, man.
That's crazy.
Going Coach.
It's crazy. I'm going Devins.
All right.
Maybe we're both crazy.
No, we are both crazy. I think a new era player is going to win. You know who's going to win?
Who?
Emily.
Who?
Emily.
That's your new era pick if you had to pick a new era?
Yeah.
See, I would go Joe. That's what's crazy. I think Devins and Joe. That's what's weird about this season, though. It could totally go against that, but I just feel like Devins has so much upside and he's so personal, and Joe is so unthreatening. Those are the two that
Coach
I'm going
is
with.
winning. I'm sorry. Coach has got it, man.
Dude, if Coach wins, that would be the greatest thing. 50 would be worth it. It would be worth it if Coach wins. So, all right. That's it. Tonight, because it's 1 a.m, tonight, the first episode of everything you need to know about is coming out at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be a premiere thing. It's only 20-something minutes long. We're keeping these under a half hour. That's the goal with all 22 of these. And Blake and I are talking Cirie Fields first. So that'll be dropping at 8 p.m. tonight. We have plenty more of those. We're going to have 21 more of those coming out. And then John McKenna and I are also going to start, probably not next week, but the week after, a series of the key episode for each of the 22 players. And so that'll also be kind of more of a short form, not live. It'll be pre-recorded, all of that. So get ready for all of that stuff. Plenty of content coming. Next Tuesday night at 10:30 p.m., Alexa and I are talking the relationships of the players on this cast. So yes, Alexa is making her first appearance in a while. So that'll be nice. And then we're also going to be doing a Brant steal at some point, which McKenna's been dying to do this Brant steal. So we'll figure out your availability and such if you're able to jump on there. But McKenna's like, I want to do a Brant steal the 3rd week of June. So that's coming. And then also there might be another podcast that I've been in the works of trying to get set up here, but I don't want to say who it's with just because yet. Will and James jumping in at the end. Unbelievable. Hey, just wanted to drop in and say hello. James, impressive that you're here at, I guess it's not that late over on the West Coast, but it's still pretty late and we're 2 hours in. So thanks for jumping in. And that's what we got. What do you think about the winner chances for all 24 players? Who do you think has the best chance? Who is your winner pick? Who do you think has no shot? Let us know. And like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let me get rid of the banner so I can say become a patron real quick. Become a patron, patreon.com/the specialist. Get in there. We're going to be starting Heroes versus Villains on June 19th. So that probably scares Will. That's 2 weeks away, but that's what's coming up. So get ready, everybody. That's when we start that. Thank you all so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.